I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to our ongoing Operation Freedom Health and Wellness series with Dr. Peter Glidden. It's a very unique series. This should not be unique. It's the only one of its kind on the internet or frankly on this planet. Much to the chagrin of the medical industrial complex, which is a component of the globalist syndicate or globalist cult. The medical industrial complex is inclusive of big pharma, big medicine, like the AMA, big insurance, big government, big sickness, if you will, right? Because it's all about people getting sick and them making big money out of it. And the reason why this series is not unique, or is unique, and denigrated by the syndicate is because it's a series about empowering you, the individual, of utilizing your body and your body's ability to keep itself well and to keep itself healthy. That's something they don't want you to know about because they want you consuming their drugs and their office visits and their hospitals and their, you name it, and their insurance. But we have shown you and continue to show you, we do this every other week, how you can harness your body's own ability to stay healthy and how to become healthy if you haven't, if you will, taken the necessary steps to become nutritionally sound. And this is the only platform I'm aware of where a naturopathic physician, Dr. Peter Glidden, and Dr. Dave Janda, an allopathic physician, an MD, discuss these issues. See, because the syndicate, starting back, as Peter's always pointed out, in 1913, the syndicate has created, they love divide and conquer, a division between naturopathic physicians and allopathic physicians so that we're at each other's throats. And in the process, you lose. And what we have done is we've built that bridge. And that's a bridge that the cult wants to blow up. Because they want us at odds with each other. They don't want us providing information that empowers you. Dr. Peter Glidden is one of the top naturopathic physicians in the country, if not the world. He is a phenomenal researcher, phenomenal clinician, and a phenomenal author. His 2 books, Everybody is Sick and I Know Why, An Attempt to Cure with Holistic Medicine, are not only mandatory reading, they are mandatory for you to have in your home library and then to network that information in the books to everyone you know and love. drglidden.com, and our site is operationfreedomhealth.com. Now, full disclosure, the products we're going to talk about, because there's no sense talking about things that can help you and then not have them available. Or to have them available where somebody's going to rip you off price-wise. The products are available at operationfreedomhealth.com that we're going to talk about today. And again, full disclosure, purchase of the products supports this platform so we can continue doing these series. It's my honor to welcome back Dr. Peter Glidden. Peter, welcome back.
Thanks a lot, David. It's always a pleasure. Let's hit the ground running and rock and roll.
All right, let's hit the ground running about how food addiction is related to mineral deficiency.
Well, that's an easy, breezy, lemon squeezy thing to talk about. And I mean, you're welcome to your own opinion, but not your own set of facts. Just do a web search for obesity rates, overweight statistics here in the United States. They're alarming. They're getting worse. They're not getting better. 42% now of adults are not just overweight, but they're obese. 42%. 42%. It's almost half. 35, I think, percent of kids obese. Mm-hmm. It's an epidemic, and it's not getting better. It's getting worse, and it's directly related to consumption of too many calories. And you really need to just take a step back. Everybody needs to take a step back and just look at this from a bird's eye point of view. Number one, obesity now and being overweight is becoming the new normal, right?
Right.
I mean, Izzo now, the rock and roll female singer who's all the rage now. She's probably 200 pounds overweight, and everybody is what's the word? They're not championing it, but they're saying, "Oh, isn't that great? It's fantastic. Isn't that great?" Well, I mean, I'm glad she's successful. I'm glad she's talented, but she's seriously overweight, and she's not seriously overweight because she has a bad gene or because of any other thing that is out of her control. She's seriously overweight because her medical professionals have no idea what causes obesity, have no training in medical nutrition, no appreciation, no respect, no, again, clinical experience with medical nutrition. And the conventional medical solution for being overweight or obese is diabolically, remarkably unbelievable. They cut the stomach out. Oh, no, I'm sorry, you can't cut the stomach out. It's you do a gastric bypass.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a tube that goes into the top of the stomach, the esophagus. There's a tube that goes from the end of the stomach. It's the beginning of the small intestine. You cut those two tubes off and you sew them together and you bypass the stomach completely. The stomach just sits there. Still has blood flow, still does stuff. I don't know what happens to the stomach after that, but it's called a gastric bypass. Oh, that's too extreme. Well, let's not do that. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a band. I don't know what it's made out of, some synthetic material. We're going to wrap it around your stomach and we're going to tighten it. That's called lap band surgery. Mm-hmm. And we're going to do that to make you eat less, because when your stomach is 80% the size that it used to be the day before, you're going to be full easier, and that's the solution to weight gain. It's insane, but that's the norm. Mm-hmm. And that's why the gigantic failure of conventional medicine, just a gigantic failure, because they have no idea of the operative cause of this, which all goes back to nutrition. And, again, from the proper perspective, right, everything makes sense. There was nobody in Auschwitz or Dachau or any of the other death camps of World War II who were overweight. Mm-hmm. Nobody. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter what their sex, age, height, race, pre-existing medical conditions were. Didn't matter. If you starve somebody to the point of death, they lose weight. There are a number of things to consider when we are considering weight gain and or obesity. But the first thing to consider is lack of nutrients. Mm-hmm. How does that work? Or lack of nutrients and calorie consumption. The main reason that people gain weight and then become obese is because they eat too many calories, period, which was exemplified by the death camps of World War II. Those people didn't eat any calories, they lost weight. And by the way, the livestock industry has known about this for a long time. This is how cattle ranchers manage the health and the weight of their cows. I mean, they need to keep a cow, the average lifespan of a cow, beef cow is about 5 years. So they need to keep the cow healthy for 4 years and 3 months, or 4 years and 9 months, and a normal body weight. Otherwise, they'll eat them out of house and home. So the rancher does that by putting minerals into the feed that the cow has. So when the cow's body is nutrified with minerals, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. the cow walks up to the trough, eats as much as it wants to until it's full, and then walks away. Even though there's more food there, cow won't eat it because it's full. So when the rancher does that, the cow's mineralized all of the time. It eats as many calories as it needs, and then it walks away, maintains a normal, healthy body weight. And by the way, heart disease, lung disease, kidney disease, these things don't happen because the cow is mineralized and they're at a good body weight. Now it's time to sell the cow to slaughter. You need to fatten the cow up. How do you do that? What do you do?
Take away its nutrients.
Take away its nutrients. Mm-hmm. What happens? Mm-hmm. The cow eats everything. Mm-hmm. Why does it do that? Because the cow's body knows that there's the amount of nutrients it needs. This is how many it has now. So the cow's going to eat everything it can in the desperate attempt to fill that nutritional tank because its instincts kick in. But the food that it's eating now, just like the food that we're eating as humans, doesn't have the requisite nutrients. Mm-hmm. So the cow eats and 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 then looks for more things to eat. The cow will eat the wood on its fence, where the farmer's hands have been, because there's in the perspiration from the hands there's minerals. So the cows will lick the fence. They'll eat the wood in the fence. They'll eat rocks and dirt to try to get minerals into their body because it's instinct. It's taking over. So this is the secret to healthy weight that not even Oprah knows.
Mm-hmm.
Because it all comes down to how many calories are you eating? How many calories do you eat? If you eat too many calories, you're going to gain weight. Well, which begs the question, what causes human beings to eat too many calories? In a small percentage of people, it does have something to do with psychological trauma from their past. And they're putting on weight to guard themselves against that, the emotional stress that they experience that then becomes locked into their kind of memory patterns, and it's hard for them to get on the other side of it. That's a small percentage of people. The main reason why in the United States people gain weight is because they eat too many calories, and they don't eat too many calories because of childhood trauma, or because of chemtrails, or because they have the fat gene, which makes no sense, by the way, because according to survival of the fittest, if there was in fact a fat gene, it should have been deselected from the herd thousands of years ago, because the fat people died the soonest, right? So it's not genetic. The reason that it's happening is because people need this many nutrients in their body. This is how many nutrients their body have. And at some point in time, when you reach a certain level of nutrient lowness, your body goes into emergency mode. Because your body has wisdom. I mean, look, man, our bodies are so smart, they grew themselves all by themselves from a single cell into us. That's pretty good. And right now, managing thousands, if hundreds of thousands of biochemical reactions automatically, all outside our conscious control, the body's taking care of business because it can. The body has an innate intelligence. So the body knows that once it reaches a point of lowness in nutrients, things are going to start to break. The kidneys are going to go. The liver's going to go. Heaven forbid, the heart's going to go. Something's going to go. The body says, whoa, no. What do we need? We need nutrients. So eat. But the nutrients that we're eating do not have, the food that we're eating does not have the nutrients in it. So we go to Olive Garden or, Red Lobster. We'll eat 3,000 calories because we have to. And then 2 hours later, we're hungry again. Why? Because we're nutrient deficient. We're eating empty calories. We're eating calories, but we're not. There are 90 essential nutrients that the human body needs, and they're not in the food. And oh, by the way, in the 1930s, the United States Department of Agriculture gave a report to Congress that said, hey, everybody, guess what? The amount of minerals in the soil, therefore the amount of minerals in the food, is dramatically declining, and we need to do something about this. It's a health emergency. And guess what Congress did? Nothing.
90 years ago.
So over the last 90 years, as the amount of nutrients, minerals specifically in the soil have declined, guess what's gone up?
Obesity.
And chronic disease. And this is why, people will look at these phenomena like, the rise of obesity, and it parallels the rise of heart disease, and it parallels the rise of type 2 diabetes. And researchers will mistakenly think that it's obesity that's causing these other illnesses, but it's not. They've missed the data point. All of these illnesses, obesity, heart disease, blood sugar issues, are all caused by the same thing. They're all arms of the same octopus. They're all caused by nutrient deficiencies. It's not like the obese person has a greater chance of getting heart disease because they're obese. That's not how it works. The obese person is obese because they're minerally deficient. The person who has heart disease because they're minerally deficient, and so forth and so on. From the proper perspective, it's as clear as crystal. But again, conventional medical doctors, Food and Drug Administration, they don't know jack about medical nutrition at all. And more's the pity. So this is a very long-winded way of saying that the reason that people eat too much food, they're addicted to food, is not because they have, a bad psychological history, not because of chemtrails, not because they have the self-destructive gene or the fat gene. It's because their bodies are nutritionally deficient. And not just a little nutritionally deficient, but really super nutritionally deficient, because It's also showing up in kids now.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some really interesting studies, by the way, that have shown that there's no relationship between exercise. Everybody says, oh, you need to exercise more, right? That was a big governmental initiative a couple of years ago. I think Michelle Obama started it. Kids need to exercise more. Oprah was right behind that. The research clearly shows it's got nothing to do with it. And in fact, if this is how many nutrients your body needs, and this is how many nutrients you have, and this is why you're eating a lot of calories, what happens when you exercise? What happens to your nutrients? You burn through them faster.
Mm-hmm.
So the research relative to exercise and obesity actually shows that the more you exercise, the more weight you gain. But, those statistics are swept under the rug for whatever reason, because we don't have a free medical market, because the pharmaceutical industry does not want to make people healthy. So the more overweight you are, the sicker you're going to become, and then the big pharma is going to have a client for life. It's insidious. It's horrible. And then into this bargain, when you add on top of the ridiculous nutrient deficiencies, which are rampant, consistent consumption of all the wrong food.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's like throwing gasoline on the fire.
So
everybody gets worse.
So on the website, operationfreedomhealth.com, free upper right-hand corner, there is a video that you have produced called The 12 Bad Foods. So that's number one. Number two, so nutritionally, with the current food supply, supply chain we have, we're not getting the appropriate nutrients. How do people get the appropriate nutrients that they need?
Healthy Foundation Pack. That's why the Healthy Foundation Pack was created, for the express purpose of filling up somebody's nutritional tank efficiently. The operative word there being efficiently. And, holistically, because everybody else in the world except myself and my cadre of companions practices fractionated nutrition. Linus Pauling was the most famous.
Right.
Boatloads of vitamin C. Well, whatever. But you don't just need one vitamin.
No.
There's 16 that you need.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just need calcium.
Mm-hmm.
There's 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 2 fatty acids that you need.
And they have to be absorbable, which is another right. So one of the big components that this foundation pack delivers, and there are 4 components, I'll have you go into that, is the fact that the research shows that this is one of the most effective ways from a bioabsorption standpoint, that when you take it, it's absorbed in your system to then do the functions it needs to do from a nutritional standpoint.
I had a patient years ago. I tell this story every once in a while because it's funny and it's very poignant. But, I was telling him, I was going over, look, this whole spiel about it's not how many nutrients you swallow, it's how many you absorb, right? The absorption is a big deal. And he said, that's really funny. He said, because I have a brother-in-law. I think it was his brother-in-law, cousin or something. I think it was his brother-in-law. He says, my brother, I know exactly what you're talking about, Dr. G. My brother-in-law has a porta potty business in Florida. And I went, oh, that's nice. Well, where's the segue there? What are you talking about? He said, well, in Florida, which is mostly elderly people, they call the porta potties vitamin machines. I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, they empty the porta potties out and they're filled with Centrum Silvers, undigested Centrum Silver, which is what everybody down there takes, all the elderly people. Oh, Centrum Silver, I need my Centrum Silver, right? It's a hard-pressed tablet, vitamin tablet. It's got some good stuff in it, but it's got a shellac coating on it to make it swallow easier. Everybody's digestive tract, by the time they're 60 years old, even sooner than that, is kaput, doesn't have the ability to digest anything. So they swallow the Centrum Silver, it goes right through unabsorbed, and they poop it out. And now the porta potties are filled with them. I said, how do you know it's Centrum Silver? He says, we rinse them out and we can read Centrum Silver.
Yeah.
So we call them vitamin machines.
Yeah.
So we're not making this up, right? The absorption quotient here is really important. And the amount of nutrients that you're taking, you don't need 2, you don't need 10, you don't need 20, you need 90. And they need to be absorbed. And that's why the foundation pack was created, to meet this need. And if you tried to cobble together, just go to the health food store and buy stuff singularly off the shelf that is in the foundation pack, just individual vitamins, it would cost 4 times as much as the foundation pack does. And you wouldn't be able to swallow all that stuff individually. You couldn't do it.
Let alone absorb it.
Absorb it.
So there are 4 components. Educate our listeners on the 4 components of the foundation pack.
So it's a multi-nutrient, multivitamin, multi-mineral. It's got some prebiotics and some probiotics and some antioxidants and some mushroom extract in it. It's called the Beyond Tangy Tangerine Powder. That's the central player here. That's the main deal. In addition to that, there's a liquid mineral supplement, there's a liquid calcium and magnesium supplement, and there's fish oil capsules, which give you your omega-3 and omega-6 essential fatty acids. This for a grand total of 90 essential nutrients. And by the way, this combo, I've been doing this for 34 years now. And for 5 of those 34 years, I was a rep at medical conferences for a vitamin company. So I know a lot about the manufacture of vitamins that most people don't. And I'm here to tell you that not all vitamin supplements are created equally. Vitamins really are like alcohol. There's bottom shelf, middle shelf, top shelf, and like ultra. And most of the vitamins that are sold in the US, it's like somewhere between middle and bottom shelf, because vitamin manufacturers are interested in moving product. They're interested in the bottom line. So if it's going to cost 2 or 3 times as much to get a grade A vitamin B raw material as it is a grade C vitamin B raw material, they're going to go with the grade C because it's more cost effective, especially now in a recession.
Right.
So there's a lot of things going on here in the manufacture of a nutritional supplement, besides the formula itself. And that's why I'm such a cheerleader for this, these products, is because in 34 years of clinical work, they're the most effective ones I've seen. And people should try them and see for themselves. Normally, what we say is if you're dealing with an issue, like you've got something that you want to try to get on the other side of, whether it's weight gain or whatever, give the program 90 days, right? 3 months. Take this stuff religiously for 90 days in a row and look to see what happens to your health. And if you don't notice a significant change somewhere in your body mind inside of 90 days, I'll eat my hat. Because this isn't, if you're growing 2 tomato plants and you give one of them fertilizer and the other one you don't, well, the one you give fertilizer to is going to grow bigger and stronger and faster. It's the same with the human body. But people have been undernutrified their entire life. And they've gotten used to mediocrity. They've gotten used to mediocre health. They look around and, well, 42% of the adult population is obese. When I'm obese, well, I must be normal. Being obese is the normal. It's normal. It's not. It's normal inside of this really arcane, dangerous medical paradigm, which gives no thought at all to medical nutrition. And we're here to break the back of that beast. Because medical nutrition is a godsend.
The video we spoke about, the 12 bad foods, is available free at operationfreedomhealth.com, upper right-hand corner. The products that Peter's just spoke about are also available at operationfreedomhealth.com. Pete, educate our listeners on your website, drglidden.com, and the services you provide through drglidden.com.
Well, at drglidden.com, we take a deep dive into self-help health recovery. I mean, I've got sections on my website with medical myth busting where I pull back the curtain and I tell you the real story about cholesterol, the real story about salt, the real story about everything, quite frankly. Stuff that you should have been taught in high school. Because the vast majority, if not 100%, of the information that's been disseminated to you as a member of the public in the United States over the last 100 years has been prejudiced like 100% towards the pharmaceutical method. And most of the time, it's just wrong. So I pull back that curtain and I help to educate you about that. We have live chats where I do Q&As with people from all over the world show up and ask me directed questions. We've got health recovery protocols on the website. It's chock full of science-based, clinically verified, and this is the action. This is where I'm different from other people because it's clinically verified.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that I talk about on my website for health recovery is what myself and my colleagues have actually seen work. And people need to know about this. Nobody does. It's the best kept secret, honestly, in modern American medicine. And knowledge goes a long, long way here towards empowering you to make the correct choice for therapeutics moving forward. And I'm happy to help.
And your books, Everybody is Sick and I Know Why, and Attempt to Cure with Holistic Medicine, are available through your website as well, correct?
Si, senor.
You are
I'm misunderstood in many languages, Dave.
You and me both.
Yeah.
Especially in English.
Hello.
Pete, I'd like to thank you for everything you have done, are doing, and will do. I'd like to thank you folks for joining us today. OperationFreedomHealth.com and drglidden.com. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.